Well, they came to me, you know, they came and asked for a piece. They came and commissioned something. The South Bank Centre, yeah. So I think that's quite good, because most of the things that you get to do in this town, you have to apply for. In other words, somebody's got some money and then other people compete for the money to do what they want to do. That means that one person gets to do something and everyone else is just really pissed off and discouraged. You know? And this is much more direct. They simply ask the people who want to do something. They don't, you know, make it into some sort of competition.
Is that allowed or not?
Oh, definitely, yes.
No,
Actually encouraged, in fact. Yeah. They more or less left it up to me. They had some kind of assumptions that I was interested in working with older people. And I think that they kind of assumed and always kind of coaxed for that to happen again. And I said, well, yes, I do like working with older people, just because I like to work with a diversity of people anyway.
If you're up already, it's okay, but if you're on the floor, you've got to get up. Yeah. No, it's sort of dying like this.
I know, yes.
I know exactly how you feel.
I decided to base the whole project at the Phoenix Studios, which is in Dalston, London E8, and that's because I'm on the board of directors there at the moment. I was asked to form a board to try and keep the building open, and it's an arts development centre with a beautiful dance studio and lots of possibilities, and it's being kept open on a voluntary basis, trying to organise something a bit more stable. And I thought that that could be interesting, especially if there are people around that space who are able to produce something. I wanted to see if the Phoenix Studios could operate as a kind of a production house, if all the resources from the different departments could actually work together. So one of the things that's interesting about that studios is being in the middle of Dalston there, that's quite cosmopolitan really. And then the whole thing was produced over Saturday workshops, which went for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, informal. And in fact, different people came to each one. So we didn't really create the material in those workshops, but I just discovered a way how to work, what sort of things to ask people to do, how people functioned, what people's needs and expectations were. I very much like sort of tailored the piece to suit that.
At first it was difficult to understand what he wanted, but now I think it's a good thing. Yeah. It's good to be with the choreographer and seeing the way he walks and the way he matches groups, and I think it's good. Thank you.
Are you enjoying it?
Oh, yes. Especially I come from workouts.
You
know that.
Yes. It's great. Even if you weren't in it, it's lovely to come.
It's a workout
do the movie.
You know, when we're statues and we get up, I mean, sometimes we're on the floor and they go into the tango before you've got up from the floor.
But what I'd like you to get into a bit more, without slowing it down, is the movement, what the actual movement and how the breathing goes with it.
Yo opino lo mismo que ella, que es muy interesante trabajar con toda la gente y que vamos a aprender mucho. Es muy interesante.
And I also saw it as a good chance to employ 3 of my own company dancers, at least for a couple of weeks, to lead the people through the piece, so that the inexperienced people would have experienced people to work with, and that would take them somewhere. But I also thought it was interesting for the experienced people to work with complete beginners and people who, you know, really couldn't dance very well at all, or just didn't understand the first thing about it, but were enthusiastic. Because I thought that would be a good experience for the professionals, just to understand what the level of understanding was and the level of perception. And it turned out to be quite surprising. unexpected. Certain things people were able to perceive instantly, in depth, and certain things that to the professional dancer might be like really obvious, just missed completely. And it's good for the young professional dancers to know all about that, so that they know how to target their work a bit, and how to develop an understanding of what they're doing.
Yes, just start that, and then when I come and clap, you do the hand thing. Okay, clear?
So I should say a little bit about the structure of the piece. The title, Illusions of Spontaneity, well, I think that speaks for itself. And if you look at the piece, you can see there's a certain amount of spontaneity, there's a certain amount, people sort of think on their feet. You can see people's thought process, working out which movement comes next, working out which part of the stage they're supposed to be in. But also, I've tried not to regiment people's dancing. I've never sort of counted out a beat for them, and I've never said, you know, it goes like this and you move, you know, I've completely avoided that whole military approach. And I've just encouraged people to dance together, follow each other, and to lead each other, to make each other chase their way through a phrase, maybe quite fluently, and also to do a lot of things with breath and indicate how to dance together. There are times when you have to just get, if you're going to dance with somebody, you can actually just get them and dance with them. It's better than dimmering. That will be okay.
You've got to adapt, haven't you? You've got to adapt, you know, if you're uncomfortable. So I just disappear and do something else because I don't want to have another injury. I don't spring. I don't like to spring because that's how I did my injury. Yeah. What the ones we thought up to do?
No.
Well, she did a lot of it.
This is Jean actually showing me.
Well, now, the young lady did a lot of very she did a lot of this. This, and then like this, and then she did the other way, and then she went back to doing it this way. So she did about two.
The music's been created alongside rehearsals. Very much so, very much so. I mean, there's really very little been, well, certainly very little been committed to paper. It's been devised. And actually, we had 3 days work here in May. There were 3 days when they were like changing over an exhibition and there was nothing going on. So the South Bank, they just rang us up and said, would you like to use the space for 3 days? And that was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I could do anything I wanted. So we just had a full day of classes and rehearsals with my own troupe and got lots of lovely material down. And Mr. Steve Marshall, the composer of the music, he came down, you see. And we tried out all sorts of things, how to put music into the space, because actually the space has a lot of its own sound. It's not silent by any means. We found there was a cycle right through the day of